Council Member Chin, and then Council Member Rose. Do you need to go?
Thank you, Ms. Joshi, and congratulations on the nomination. And I agree with my colleague, you have a very impressive resume with your experience. And I was glad to hear in your opening remark, you talk about, setting a new bar on driver and vehicle safety. I think that is really important, and also the other aspect, ensuring the driver have a sustainable income. I do take cabs besides public transportation because I don't drive. A lot of time when I'm in a cab, I get a chance to talk to the drivers. And I think the whole issue that you also mentioned earlier about the lease cab system, they were glad that there was a raise, but I often hear stories how they were being taken advantage of. That, the place where they lease the cab, they always manage to find something to charge them more. So one of my questions is that, how do you plan to make it more accessible for drivers first to know what their rights are and what are some of the new rules, since we have so many drivers and they're not as organized as they should be, getting the information out to them. And second is how to make it easy for them to file a complaint or to let TLC know what is happening at their site so that you can facilitate the investigation and the enforcement.
On letting drivers know their rights, there is actually, under the TLC rules, a driver's bill of rights, which should be posted in garages, and the TLC can definitely make sure that rule is being enforced, and maybe look at other ways to get the driver's bill of rights out and in the hands of every driver. And in that bill of rights, there is a chart that explains to them what the leasing rules are and what they should pay, what the owner's allowed to charge them, and gives them an understanding of what would be an unallowable charge. In terms of enforcement, if I am appointed as chair, I would continue work that I started as working with the TLC's excellent enforcement staff and prosecution staff in what was a newly formed lease cap enforcement unit. That was a joint enforcement effort between the TLC and the Attorney General's office, and that would involve encouraging drivers to complain if they had been overcharged, investigating those complaints, and then either prosecuting them through the TLC adjudication process, or some that got to great magnitude, the Attorney General took the prosecution lead. And that did result in some tremendous, and I think landmark, restitution and fine payments. So that is something that I feel very strongly about and would continue working with the AG to expand that program. And again, I'm glad that you mentioned drivers should complain. It's not easy to complain because there's a fear of retaliation. And then TLC has in the past, and I would encourage in the future, to prosecute the owners that retaliate against drivers who do complain and then find themselves unable to lease a vehicle.
I guess the point about really letting people know their rights, I'm not sure how many of them have the time to go and look at it at the garage, but I'm sure that there's a way that who these drivers are. They have to register, they have their license, then they should get a copy, at least in the mail or something, so they know what their rights are and how to file a complaint.
I agree.
So I think reaching out to them individually, and also because they work long hours, and when we talk about really try to keep people who's been in this industry a long time, and a lot of them are probably the safest driver. And so we want to maintain them in the industry. We got to make sure that they are taken care of and they are protected in many ways. So I think we look forward to working with you on that. And just one point on the commuter van, because there are a lot of commuter van in my district going to Brooklyn, to Queens. And I think it's important also for TLC to really look at and really support the one that are licensed and they're trying to do a good job, and work with the other agency like DOT to find a designated area where they can pick up passengers without worry about being chased away or getting tickets. So really get a coordinated effort to really help that industry become more professionalized.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.